It's been a while since I've done a video in my car, that is, obviously. But I didn't want to lose my train of thought just after I came out of the gym, because a book that I read a while ago popped into my head today. I've forgotten the name of the journey to, I want to say Ixtlan or Ixltan. You don't pronounce it like that, but it was a story, Don Juan or so. Anyway, regardless, I'm not going to embarrass myself with my terrible pronunciations. But essentially, the whole book was one big metaphor that there is no way home. There is no way back to your old life once you've decided to better yourself. Once you've adopted habits, there is no point where you go back to your old way of living. It's gone. It's buried under all the success that you've accomplished. So let me try and explain this in a better way. A lot of people, I've done this as well when I was in high school, lose weight only to put it all back on again. Now, the reason that they do that is because they plan to reach a certain weight by a certain date. So like if they're going on holiday or they've got a photo shoot or something like that, they will get to that weight for that date because they've got a goal in mind, they've got a target. Once they acquire that target, once they go on holiday and they were that weight for that date, pardon the rhymes, they had no plan after that. They had no plan to maintain it. They had no plan to keep going and better themselves. As far as they're concerned, they met the weight for the date and now they go back to their old way of living. And what happens when they go back to their old way of living? They get all the same results that they had before. As soon as you change the good habits that you've adopted and go back to your old way of living, you will start getting the same results again. If you had the target to save up 10,000 of your currency, pounds, dollars, whatever, to buy a car or for a deposit on a house, if you adopted money habits to start accumulating money on the side and you make enough money to finally make the payment on that house, to make the payment on that car, and then you go back to your old way of living once you've got the house, once you've got what you want, you will not be able to save money. You will spend all that you earn again and possibly more. You know, you might go into debt, you might take out a credit card or a loan or something like that because your spending habits, if they go back to the way that they were, you will have the same results as you had, which is nothing. If you had no money and you were trying to save some up, you had no money. And if you go back to how you were living when you had no money, you are once again going to have no money. The things that you have in life are directly correlated to your actions. So if you think that you are just going to acquire a target and you don't plan to maintain that or build it even higher, you will lose it and you will go back to where you were before. So the journey to Ixltan, whatever it's called, I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce that. I've got no idea. It was a fantastic book, and the whole book was one big metaphor that once you have accomplished your goal, this is your new life now. Whatever you did to get to that goal, if you want to keep it, if you want to do it again, you must continue to live the way that you have lived for a set period of time. Now, I don't know if I'm doing this any justice. I don't know if I'm explaining it well enough, but essentially I'm going to the gym now to get in shape, to get muscular. Once I reach what I consider to be, once I've arrived at my destination, once I look in the mirror and think, you know what, yeah, that's great, I like that, I'm done now. If I want to keep what I've got, I must continue to work. I must continue to do what I have been doing to maintain it. I don't own the physique that I have made. I don't own it forever. You can't just take it for granted like that. You can't just think I've attained it now and that's it. It's like you're renting it. You've got to maintain it. You've got to upkeep the pay. You've got to keep paying for it with time, energy, and effort. Not with currency, but you've got to pay for it with your time and patience and all these skills that you've developed. So I'm just getting this into your head now because it's something that I've had to realize in myself as well. Because everyone wants to meet targets, but no one thinks about the next step. No one thinks of, not many people think about what they're going to do once they've achieved it. They just picture themselves having it, and then that's it. They can take the foot off the gas. They can relax. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a lot easier to maintain something than it is to gain it. Once I've reached my, what I consider enough, body-wise, muscle-wise, body fat percentage-wise, it's a lot easier to maintain what I've got than it was to go from an obese person to a person in shape. Once you've accumulated money and put a deposit on a house, it's a lot easier to maintain the payments and keeping the same habits just at a lesser amount than it was to accumulate it all in the first place. You've still got all the skills that you've learned. You've still got everything you need. It's not going to be as difficult, but you can't just switch off. You can't just go back to your old way of living. It's gone. It's disappeared. So that was the metaphor of the whole book. And it's something definitely worth thinking about. Just not only planning your goal, having something to work towards and something to achieve is an amazing thing. It's what gives us life. It's what gives us drive. It's what gives us ambition. It's what gives us purpose. A lot of the time, you wake up and you think about it, it's on your mind, you've got something to work towards, it's amazing. But what's equally as important, but often overlooked, is how to maintain it once you achieve it. So always think 2 steps ahead. What are you going to do once you've accomplished your goal? Because you can't just, if I went back now to my old way of living, say this is not, by the way, but say this was my peak condition, I think, yeah, that's great. And I go back to finishing work, going home, playing Xbox and not thinking about what I'm putting in my mouth, not training in the gym whatsoever. I'm going to end up exactly how I was before, fat, unhappy, in debt, etc. You've got to maintain what you've worked so hard to accomplish. With that being said, my friends, I'll catch you on the next video.